So quick shout out to all the sponsors: Kenzies, Riton, Taurus USA, and of course Crossbreed Holsters. Sorry, I got a text coming at the same time. I'm trying to do 4 things at once. Let me fire up the Instagram, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. So shout out to all those sponsors. I'm kind of a little excited tonight. We did a couple of podcasts on fitness, which were really good. Getting people kind of squared away with what basic fitness stuff was going to look like and how that was going to take shape. I'm typing up comment, tag, last post, and all right. If you get a chance, head over to my YouTube. We're definitely giving the optic away tonight because I'm not dealing with it after today. I'm going to fix the YouTube. I listened to a really good podcast today. A good friend of mine, he's got a podcast. It's good. Bobbie Maximus. If you're not familiar with Bobbie is a really cool dude. He's over in Salt Lake. He does his own thing with training and instructing and all that stuff, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy. So Bobbie's awesome. We were sponsored on a couple different brands together, worked with a couple different brands, and Bobbie's a really sweet dude. Cool dude. And we got to talking, and he said, hey, you got to go listen to my new podcast. I said, okay. And he talked a lot about haters and about hate. And I really, for the first time, was kind of at peace with some of the things that he brought up that I thought made a lot of sense. So we started getting into it last night on here. Like, we kind of veered off from fitness and nutrition a little bit. And I'm trying to make things like their own episode. So we're not kind of stuck on that same deal. So I wanted to do this as a separate deal. And we're going to get into it a little bit. And Cassie, I know we were talking about it a lot last night. But I want to focus on a specific topic around it. I want to focus on what makes people hate, or why people hate, or why people feel the need to impose their will. Like, what's the motivator? What are some of the motivators as to why people do what they do? And that's what I want to really peel into. And we'll give away the optic, we'll give away all that stuff. Got it right here. If you just follow the rules, and we'll get into that. But I want to peel into the why. That's my biggest thing. So I want to get into the why. And if anyone out there has questions, we're going to go live with it. So here's the deal. A lot of people don't fully understand. And Dima says, people's insecurities, they want people to be at their level. Misery loves company is a true statement. Yes, I agree with that. I think whether it's, and I agree with Cassie, I honestly don't get it, she says. Now, I'm going to do my best to try to help you guys understand it because I've come to peace with it. So everybody's dealt with hate, okay? Everybody at one point in their life or another has dealt with a hater. That's just part of it, okay? Where does hate end and where does truth begin? And somewhere in between and all of that jazz. And I want to really peel back the layers on this. Well, we can get into me. We can get into me a little bit, Cassie, but I think it's about looking at it in a couple objective ways. So why do people hate? Why are people haters? What makes people hate? So I listened to a really good podcast today from Bobbie Maximus, and show Bobbie some love. He has the Maximus Project. It's a really good podcast, and it really gets my juices flowing now talking about it. I think I have a theory, okay? And I know Joe Rogan's been all over this. I know Bobbie's been all over this. You know, it's everywhere. I think people hate, and people have a hate streak in them because they really don't understand their place and their place in life, and they don't have a lot of direction. And what drives people to do it is so many factors in their life, in their personal life, in their failure to establish a mission in life. And it drives them to a place that they're so enraged they don't even know why they're enraged. Okay? I get it. And I've come to peace with it. And people have said to me, Cassie, to answer your question, why do you, like, people have said to me, why do you brush it off? Well, I brush it off because I understand it. I just totally get it. I understand the reason that people get to this place, and it's something I've talked to Bobbie about it. I understand what gets people to this place of anger. And I understand completely and explicitly that some people, they can't help themselves. And they can't adjust themselves. And I know Bobbie just came in here, Bobbie. If you want to go live with me and give you expand on it, I'm live now. You can jump on and give your 2 cents. I'd love to have you, Bobbie. But I think it's an overwhelming force that forces people to, they can't help themselves. They can't stop themselves. It's like having that friend that you know they're not a thief, but maybe they're a klepto. And it's something I talked to Tony about. Maybe they're not, they don't do things with malice, but they just can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. It's an overwhelming desire. They have to say something. They have to cast some level of shade, some level of doubt, some level of this. And people say, well, that's not it. It's the truth. You know, I'm saying this because it's the truth, or I'm saying that because it's the truth. Is it the truth, or do you feel like it's your version of the truth? And who is that person that feels they need to cast any level of doubt on their life? Well, he has a black belt, but it's not a good enough black belt. It's not from this person, or it's not from that person. Or he didn't fight in the MMA. It's always a level up. It's always a level up with people. People feel they need to level up on you. And I don't understand it. You know, I don't understand it at all in terms of why they need to level up. I've always been a big believer of this. I've always said this. Say your piece. If something upsets you, say your piece. That's not hating. Say your piece. I don't think anybody has an issue with somebody saying their piece. Hey, man, that really upset me when you did this or that or whatever. And say your piece. Yeah, Bobbie, it'd be great to have you on for sure. And we're going to give away a Vortex Spark. So if you guys come on, follow the rules below. I'm going to pop that in the mail. So if you get a chance, head over to YouTube, guys. We're live on YouTube too. And comment. I have no issue with somebody saying their piece to me. Hey, John, this really upset me when you did X, Y, or Z. Okay, cool. I'm trying to grow my hamstrings. Bobbie's a big boy. I don't think he has to grow his hamstrings. When it comes time to say it to your face, where are they? There's some truth to that, Cassie. And I don't think Bobbie would argue. I wouldn't argue. A lot of people wouldn't argue. I don't think anybody has a problem with somebody saying stuff to their face. That's not hating. That's not hating. I respect the shit out of people that have said things to my face through the years. And there are times I've been wrong, and there are times I've been correct. I think the biggest thing with haters is they don't know their direction in life. They don't understand where they're going. And they don't even know why they're doing it. When you talk to them sometimes, they're so enraged and they're so hot and bothered that they don't even know. They can't. It's almost like they grind and grit their teeth. They don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. And more often than not, that's what you see. Is you see people that they don't have an answer as to what drives them. And I know what Cassie's getting at, whether it's the meme culture and we'll just do a meme or we'll hate on them with a meme and we'll do this and we'll do that. That's a sad state of affairs. That's a very one-way narrative. That's a very one-way of viewing things. And people that do that, you lost me. And everybody knows who's behind a lot of those pages and people that do that, especially in this industry. Everybody knows it, and everybody knows the companies that are behind it. And we all get it. We all get it. And if you lack direction, it is online bullying, Cassie, but it's not going to stop. It's not going to go anywhere. Whether you want it to or not, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to stop. Did you watch the Joe Rogan Dr. Phil? Good. You got to watch the Bobbie Maximus one. Watch the Bobbie Maximus one, Semi-Auto Kid. He talked a lot about hate too, and I know they got into it. My issue with this, okay, so I have rules, and we're going to establish the rules. We're going to get into this. If you want to hate on somebody, or you want to throw shade, fine. If that's how you want to operate. But you should always adhere to the rules. Okay? Don't bring people's personal life into it. Okay? Whether that's they have a family, they have kids, whatever it is. If you hate somebody because they're successful or they have something you don't have, don't bring their family into it. Don't bring their kids. So you lose me when you start to get personal and you start to make personal attacks. If you don't know the whole story or you don't know everything involved and you get personal, I've seen a lot of people's dirty laundry spill out on the internet. And half the time when you know the story, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not how it went down like that. So don't do that. Number 2, don't speak when you don't know. Okay? I think part of the misconception with the internet and part of the problem with the internet is people think they know people because of the internet. They think they know people because of the intimacy of the internet. So the mistake that gets made is it's almost as if you feel like you know the person, okay? You feel like you know the person, but you don't really know the person. The internet's a weird line that's been blurred, and there's a lot of toxic people. You have to be careful of the toxicity. Okay? There's a lot of toxic people out there. And I think you can only follow people's track record. Okay? You can only follow people's track record. And if the track record shows that they have a propensity to hate, or you've seen it in the past, or they cast doubt, or they stream doubt, you have to realize something. Sometimes they just cannot help themselves. There's a gear mechanism in them that forces them to hate. So you can't, you'll never understand that mindset if you're not in that mindset. Man, that's so true if you watch a few of them on live and you feel them out, but they are portraying an image most of the time. It's all an image. It's like I've told you guys. Most of this social media shit is acting. I'm going to break down the third wall for you. It's acting. Okay? Half of these fools are acting out there. They're acting. And I'm not going to win a lot of fans in the locker room for saying that, but it's acting. Okay? They're creating a persona. They're creating an image. They're creating a brand. Okay? There's not a lot of guys. Even the most legit ones are going to be 90% legit. But when people cast shade, or people throw doubt, or people do whatever, it's not the hate that I have an issue with. And we're going to get back to the rules. It's when people level it up. When they start leveling it up. It goes from hate to just downright, what Cassie's getting at, abusive behavior. And they start to pick and prod. I've said it for a long time. We live in this era of I gotcha. To the point where a guy, and I see the tide turning, to the point where a guy who was a Supreme Court candidate was getting ridiculed and ripped apart in front of his family and the people he loves because he had a beer in high school with a female. And it's gotten to the point where it's gotten completely almost out of control with some of that stuff. Okay? And I think, yeah, but Cassie, you have to expect it. You have to understand we're in an era of if you're internet famous or whatever you are, there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is rely on your friends and rely on those that you love to understand something and understand the situation. And, you have to put your ego aside. Yes, to an extent, everybody's a part of the problem. I'm a part of the problem. Bobbie's a part of the problem. We're all parts of the problem. Okay? We're successful. We work hard. We grind. We put the time in. We put the effort in. And when people see that, they feel threatened. Okay? They feel threatened. And they feel like they need to do something about that to feel less threatened. And it's interesting. It's very interesting to me. So in my rule book where I come from, I'm still old school. In the old days, when people they wrote for papers, they never went after people's families. They never went after people's kids. To me, personal lives should still be kept out of it. Okay? You never heard about half of Kennedy's shit. No, I don't, Cassie, I don't badmouth and gossip because it's not part of my program. It's not what I do. Yes, you can use me as an example because it's what we have to draw upon, and I'd rather pick on me than pick on anybody else. So I leave people's personal life out of it. My second rule to haters, and it's a simple one, is if you're gonna hate, okay, have the guts to do it in a public, non-hidden profile. That's my second rule. When you hide behind accounts, it should be given no credibility whatsoever. None. Zero credibility. Thirdly, and my final rule, is if you're going to be a hater, you should at least know why you're hating. And you should be honest with yourself. Don't tell people you're on a mission for the greater glory of God Don't tell people you feel you need to hate because you create or fabricate some story because you want to be relevant, because you know, whatever. Be honest. Be straight up. You know how many times, and Ruben knows this. Ruben, how many times have I said it? And Bobbie Maximus is going to be coming on, Ruben. I definitely want you to hear this. How many times have I said this? If you don't like somebody, I have no problem saying, hey, I just don't like the motherfucker. I don't like him. I don't like him. Something about him. I leave it at that. But to answer Cassie's question and to answer certain people's questions, and I'll pick on me, I don't take my fights to the internet. I don't take my fights to the internet. It's not what I do. That's the biggest problem. They don't know why or don't think they are. That's absolutely true. You know? And Ruben knows this. You have no problem telling people, hey, I just don't like you, bro. Just don't like you. Fine. I don't take it to the internet. I don't broadcast it, and I don't do anything like that. So you have to understand, you know, forget it. I don't even like the title of keyboard warriors. I think that's giving people too much credit. Because a warrior has the courage to face you on the battlefield. So they're not warriors. Okay? Where I come from, the title of warrior is one of honor and respect. You know, if I call someone a warrior, that's my dog. They're a fighter. Anybody who jumps behind private accounts or hidden accounts or things like that, or when they take it to a level that it's personal and they involve people's kids, people's families, you know, they take it to a malicious level, bro, just DM me. I'll give you my phone number. Here. Don't play the tough guy card. And I'll tell you what is wrong with it. I'm going to tell you the biggest thing wrong with it. And I'm sure all of you will agree. I've had haters, sure, Cassie. I've had them. I have them now. Shit, I'll have them forever. You want to know how I sleep at night? I sleep because I sleep no problem. I sleep fine. I sleep because I know, whether it's The Rock or anybody else out there, Tony, Ruben, whoever, we all have them. Someone's going to always have a bullshit comment. And the further up you climb the ladder, the bigger the hate gets. Okay? And if you don't have haters, you're not going to have success. Okay? Think about it in the simplest terms. In your own jobs right now, you probably have somebody who hates. You probably have somebody who talks shit. You probably have somebody who complains on you, does whatever. That's going to happen. Yes, Cassie, I can sleep at night knowing I've never been in one of these lives. I've never talked shit on anybody. Yeah, I have some people that I'm like, I don't know you, dude. Like, I don't know you. You know? You ain't my dog. I don't know you. And I have people I've had very, very minimal interactions with. Minimal. And I have no problem being painfully honest with you guys. But there's some people out there, it's like, my God. You know? And yes, I've been through it. And you can pick on me as an example. I've been through it at the highest levels. But what are you going to do? You can't please them all. That's exactly right. You can't please them all. People are going to have something to say. You know, just like the song goes, people are going to talk whether you're doing bad or good. You can be doing everything right, and people are going to talk. They're going to have some shit to say. So this is something that's a growing trend. It's been talked about a ton by Joe Rogan. Bobbie talked about it today. It's been on multiple podcasts. Now, I played some clips for you guys last night. I played some clips, and Bobbie's going to come on. We're going to put Bobbie on. So Bobbie had a brilliant podcast that got into all this, and it was really good. There he is.
John, how are you?
What's up, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I got you pumping in with the audio here, so you'll be able to hear this on my podcast. So, bro, like, I was blown away. I gave your podcast a listen today, and this has been such a growing topic, and I've talked about it a couple times with my listeners, but we've never done a dedicated episode. And, you know, Joe Rogan's been talking about this. A lot of people have been talking about this. And we're going into a whole new era, Bobbie, where it's almost like, whether it's behind fake accounts or it's behind, you know, bullshit, we have like these virtue signaling, we have all this stuff going on where people are just compelled to level up on people. And I'm convinced that a lot of them don't even know why they do it. And that was one area of it I wanted to touch on with you. That I genuinely believe they don't know why they do it. If you were to corner somebody in a corner and say, why are you doing this? Or what provokes you to do this? I don't think they know the why, Bobbie. I mean, tell me I'm wrong or give me your opinion on it.
No, but I'd actually take it a step further. I don't even think it's that they don't know why. I don't even think they realize they're doing it. Mm-hmm. Like, I've had people make negative comments on my account or make negative comments on other people's accounts, and honestly, they don't even remember doing it. We live in a day and age where you can click your fingers on a keyboard or a mouse before you even know what's come out of your mouth, and you don't even almost remember. I mean, if you were to pull somebody who makes 100 comments on Instagram a day, I don't even think they can remember whose account they commented on.
That's a great point. Absolutely, because it's so fast. It's so in and out. You know, but we see this, you know, like you said, it goes a step further. We see this demonizing, and I've talked to Ruben about this on here, and I'll talk to you about this because this hits home for you. It's an MMA thing. We live in an era where, you know, somebody like a Ronda Rousey, who goes out and she's totally revolutionized the game for females and combat sports and everything, regardless of what you think of her. She totally did so much for that sport and so much for females in that sport. And she opened up so many women's eyes to combat sports. But the minute she lost a fight, I remember this like yesterday, she had thousands of comments on her thing like, you got knocked the fuck out, bitch. You deserve it. I hope you die. Like all this crazy shit. And it's just, that's the era we live in, where people think that that's okay. And you talked about this on your podcast. In the old days when it was newspapers and it was magazines, there was a certain amount of respect that was given, a certain amount of, you know, couth that was given to the other person. And that's all gone now.
Yeah, and people hate seeing other people successful is what it really boils down to. And I don't think people have changed or society's changed. I just think that we have the tools now to talk to everybody. Like you say, with newspapers, I couldn't just be a newspaper writer. I couldn't just be a reporter on TV. Now, I can get on my Instagram or my Twitter or my Facebook and I can blast it to the world. And it's no different than the old, I call it 5 old men sitting in a coffee shop complaining about how everyone else is successful. It's just now, it's that coffee shop is the internet and Facebook. And unfortunately, there's a bunch of people with accounts.
Yeah.
It should have revoked. It shouldn't happen.
And you know, I've been through it where I've literally had to have interventions with people where I'm like, what is the root of this? And you can't draw the root out of them. There's no root. It's just the rage.
Well, I actually disagree with that. I think there is a root, but it's way beyond our pay grade to try and help them. Like you're talking to somebody that needs to go to a psychologist now or has some deeply seated depression, anxiety, sadness, regret, that there's nothing. I mean, if you feel like that, John, if you've got some deep-seated anxiety, listen, I'm not clinically licensed. I can't help you. And that's what it comes down to for these people. No matter how much you talk to them or tell them, until they deal with that root issue, it's going to manifest itself in negative ways.
So folks like you and I have come to terms with it. We know how to process it. We know how to deal with it. We lean on each other at times. I lean on Tony. We talked in the past about this. We all lean on each other. Let's get to the greater question. You know, I know that like this has become systemic with depression, with harassment, all this stuff with kids at a young level. How does it stop? And I have a theory that I believe, I'm just a firm believer in this. I believe every account should be verified. and I should believe everybody should have to be public with their name. That's my belief.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Unfortunately, I think these are Band-Aid solutions. Putting controls on people, it's not going to work until the root problem's addressed, and it's a lot bigger than Instagram or Facebook. I mean, we live in a society where kids aren't parented anymore. Mm. You know, I grew up, I'm 40 years old, so maybe that makes me a bit old school, but I grew up having dinner at the table with my parents, where my parents talked to me about my problems, about my hopes, about my dreams, about my aspirations. We're living in a society right now where parents probably spend more time on their phone than with their kids. And so it's almost like you can try to control the weapon, if you will, and call the weapon Instagram. But what we really need to do is change people's behaviors, because if Instagram gets shut down, or people are forced to be verified or have a public name, they'll find some other way to act out. That's
true. That's a great point, actually. Life finds a way, right? I think you're absolutely right. One of the big things with me has always been, I feel like it should come back to, on some level, to the basic rules of hating. And I think at the very least there should be, it never used to be personal. Like you talked about in the old days with the newspapers. You couldn't get personal. Like everybody knew Kennedy cheated on his wife, but it would never go to a personal level, and it would be because you had respect for the office. And I think, the biggest thing with me is I think there needs to be better accountability with people in terms of like looking in the mirror, taking a minute. There should almost be like, anytime I feel like I'm hating, or I'm going to hate on somebody or throw shade. And we all get to that place at some point. We're like, well, this guy, I take a minute. I usually step away from the phone, step away from the media, maybe go grab a workout or whatever. And I try to take almost like that 30 seconds and breathe before I'm going to say something stupid that I don't want to put out there.
Yep.
And I feel like it has to get back to that on some level, because you're absolutely right. Sometimes when you hit these people up or you DM them, my favorite analogy all the time, and I know most people know what I'm getting at or what I'm talking about. When I deal with haters in my own industry, and we all deal with haters in every industry, I'm like, bro, I ain't hiding. I have a booth at the shows. I'm not hiding. I'm right here. You have a problem, come see me. I'm not hiding. It's not like you see people at events and I'm diving behind lockers or something.
Yeah. The thing is, though, they don't have a problem with you. The problem's themselves. Mm-hmm. And if it's not you, it's my account. If it's not mine, it's Tony's. If it's not Tony's, it's someone we've never heard of.
Yeah. And of course, like, I do a lot of things tongue in cheek. Like, I still comment under Tony's posts, like, I bet the weights are fake or something, just to get him riled up. But, it's amazing to me. And, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think there's a way to stop the problem. I think it is above everybody's pay grade. And it's been really interesting to see this topic kind of start to permeate to the top of everybody's conversations. I saw you talking about it in your most recent podcast on the Maximus Project, which is excellent. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check out Bobbie's podcast. And I've seen Joe Rogan talk about this a lot with virtue signaling and the society that we live in. And he had Roseanne on, he had certain people on, and people talk about you have to be a pacifist and you just have to let shit ride off your back and you just can't let it get to you and you can't let it bother you because it becomes Tower of Babel.
No, I don't. I think actually I'm the opposite. I don't think it's about being a pacifist and letting shit roll off your back. I think people need to get called out for this bad behavior, but not in a hateful way. Because people who hate on others, they feed off hate. They thrive off it. Mm-hmm. So one of my favorite tactics is, rather than to act out, to insult back or to throw punches back, I just ask people why they're being such a bully, why they have such a problem with me. What about it, about what I said, bothers you so much? And more often than not, I don't get a response because it shuts down the conversation.
Yeah, or they block you and they don't want to confront it, or they hide, or they bob and weave.
And that's okay. Eventually, a person will get the message. It's kind of like if you're in line in a supermarket and a person's being rude to a cashier, if no one says anything, that person's behavior is not corrected. If 10 people in the supermarket gather around the person and just say, hey, that's really not nice. Did you mean to hurt that person's feelings? Are you angry? Is there something
Yeah.
People, they change your behavior.
There are certain, and I was talking about this with Tony tonight, there's certain people like, you know, like we were talking about hoarders and we were talking about kleptos and we were talking about thieves. There's certain people that are thieves. And then there's certain people that are kleptos and certain people that are hoarders. They're all very different things. You know, you can have a friend that he doesn't do it with malice. He's just kind of a kleptomaniac. He wants, you know, maybe he's a gear quarter, or he just, you know, we have all these different people in our lives around us. But I think with hate and I think with that stuff, I mean, there are people that'll question things, and I'm trying to find some of the right in it and the wrong and look at this objectively. There's people that it's okay to question things. It's okay to have questions. It's okay to say, hey, where did you get your black belt? Or, hey, who did you train under? Or what, you know, where did you fight in the MMA? Were you in the UFC? Were you in Bellator? It's okay to have questions. Nobody's trying to, you know, pussify the universe, I guess is the term I'm looking for. But when it goes a step further where you just, and I feel like it's a trending thing with certain people. They can't help themselves. They have this streak in them where they're just going to go to a level with it where it's like they're so, all they see is red, and all they see is red. And like you said it earlier on your podcast, you said just hit unfollow. You don't have to watch. You don't have to pay attention. Nobody minds people that question things. I don't think.
The basic right of every Instagrammer. Just unfollow, go away.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I don't have a problem with questions. I don't have a problem with even people disagreeing with me. Just do it in a respectful way. I mean, if we take a less heated topic like lifting weights, your friend Branch and I could have a very different opinion on a certain exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. But I'm not going to disrespect them. You know, and that's the reality. And I use working out because oftentimes there's 10 or 15 ways to do something.
That's well said.
I'm trying to respect everybody. And I'm certainly not going to make fun of or question somebody that's, I mean, let's face it, the guy's obviously proven himself in the sport. Like, there's not many people on this planet that know more about exercise and Branch.
Yeah.
And I can disagree respectfully. Or I can just do what you did and ask why.
Yeah.
There's no reason to make fun of his wife. There's no reason to call him names. There's no reason to attack his kid. There's no reason to swear at him. I mean, that's the problem with people today is there's all these behaviors that they think are okay, but that's also the role models we've been given. People grow up without parents, and they kind of look to some of these celebrity, quote-unquote, influencers on how to behave, and they're not good ways to behave, frankly.
Well, you know, Charles Barkley said it best, I'm not a role model. You know, I think the biggest thing I tell people, and I tell my listeners this all the time, who you hit like and follow to is so powerful. And you need to be careful what forces you let into your life, because when you have an Instagram account, no matter who you are out there, and Bobbie knows this, I know this, because I've pared down who I pay attention to and who I watch, you have to make sure that you're following stuff that's going to be uplifting, that's going to give you positive vibes. If you follow hate, you're going to develop more hate in your soul. If you follow, you know, stuff that's negative, you're going to be inherently more negative. You have to remember who you support and who you get behind, whether it's a listener of this podcast or Bobbie's podcast or anything out there, or even these lives. You have to pay attention to who's coming into your feed in reality, because that's what's affecting you so much. You can't tell me you spend hours on something and it's not going to affect you. Of course it is. And there's people out there that are constantly in that negative.
Well, we also, that's an interesting point. The last thing I want to touch on, because I've got to go spend some time with my family, but just because I don't support an idea of yours also doesn't mean we're automatic adversaries. And that's where I think people go. If we don't believe in the same thing, we're automatic enemies. And it's just not the case. Like and you see this with politics, you see it with gun control, you see it with views on same-sex marriage, you see it with sports teams. Like, if you and I don't like the same sports team, we can't be friends. That's just not
Yeah.
And that sounds simple, but that's the reality. And people feel that if you say something on your Instagram that I don't agree with, that all of a sudden we're enemies.
Well, I talked about, and I'll let you go because I know you're going to go do family time. I talked about this a little bit last night. I feel, Bobbie, what it is I think people take it to an unhealthy competitive level, and we've talked about this. Listen, I'm never going to be half the black belt you are. I'm never going to be half the blue belt you probably were. You have to understand that you can't get into a competitive debate with people that it gets so bad that I'm 37 years old. I'm not far behind you. I'm not going to get into that battle of wills where somebody has to win. There doesn't have to be a winner.
No, for sure. But let me ask you a question. You're a person. I've earned your respect. You've earned mine. I would consider you a friend.
I appreciate it.
If we found out that we had differing political opinions, does that mean we can't be friends anymore?
No.
If you're clearly a Boston fan. Sorry, I cut out. You're clearly a Boston fan. At least I hope you're a Boston fan.
Of course.
I happen to be a Blue Jays fan because I'm from Canada. But if I was a Yankees fan, does that mean that we can't say hi to each other at the Arnold and be friends? I mean,
no, of course not. It just means you lack some education. But no, but you're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely. Your point is well said there. My issue sometimes with it is if you're going to get into a healthy debate with people and you're going to get into a healthy conversation, and we'll let Bobbie go, but if you're going to get into a healthy conversation about things, you have to be prepared to draw the line somewhere. I've said this before, Bobbie, 100 times. Say your piece. Nobody's going to fault you for saying your piece. If I have a difference with you or I hear something, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to say, hey, Bobbie, I heard this and this. You know what? I really don't appreciate that. I thought we were cool. I thought we were friends, whatever. Say your piece. And then move on from it. We good?
But it also shouldn't even get to that point.
No, but that's the worst case scenario.
But you and I have a disagreement about even if it's something heated. Like, why can't you just come over and be my friend? Like, it's like the old adage, just because I'm Catholic doesn't mean I have to hate a Protestant.
At this point in my life, and I think you can attest to this and I'll let you go. At this point in my life and where I'm at in life, I'm probably not going to be willing to sever a friendship with somebody unless they stole from me or try to steal my girl.
Yeah, I'm with you, regardless of.
I'll be cool with them.
Yeah, politics, religion. I'm cool with everything, and I mean.
I might not let them in the inner circle. You might have to keep them at arm's length, but at that point, I'm like, look, if you're toxic, I think it was Jay Cutler that said this, and he said it best. Jay Cutler was like, you reach a point where it doesn't mean I don't love you, but people call me with negativity and they call me with bullshit and I just hang the phone up on them. You can only take so much in a friendship. That's a whole different conversation, in terms of where people.
You can also set a boundary and you can just agree to not talk about certain things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you and I could have something that we really don't agree on, but we can find plenty we can agree on to talk about.
Sure.
And enjoy. So you and I can get together and we can eat steak, we can shoot some guns, we can work out. But if we don't like the same type of music, we don't have to talk about that. But people feel the need to somehow validate themselves. And honestly, it makes me feel really sad because there are so many joys and beauty to the world of social media. Like, I probably would not have met you if there was no social media. And so I consider that a plus, and I look at that as a really good thing in my life. But I don't understand why we constantly just have to be adversaries of everything. And honestly, like, in today's climate, I've kind of tuned out of a lot of stuff because I just don't understand why people can't just be more tolerant and have an inquisitive conversation versus hate-filled, finger-pointing, mean, nasty conversation.
And Bobbie, this is good for all the listeners to hear, and I know you got to jump, but you only have so much bandwidth too. And what I try to explain to people, whether it's getting inundated with DMs or messages, or you try to do your best to answer everybody or accommodate everybody. That's why I started this podcast, was to answer a lot of the questions that I get. But, and I've gotten over the years. but you only have so much bandwidth to give. And whether it's calling me when you get a car ride home, or you have 100 things going on, and I know you do just like I do, but you try to fit it all in and you try to make it all work. But you only have so much bandwidth to give, and you have to respect that. And everything you said is absolutely right, guys. Make sure you check out Bobbie's podcast, The Maximus Project. He had a great one today on haters. It was awesome. I'm following it up with this, and hopefully I'll be able to get on Bobbie's one of these days. Hopefully we can record one, and we'll have a lot of fun.
No, I'd love that. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
And we will chat soon. I look forward to seeing you.
Absolutely. Let's catch up first thing in the morning or whatever. Whatever you need me to do tomorrow, I'm in.
All right, sounds good. Bye-bye.
All right, brother. Bye. So there you have it. There's the great one. You know, Bobbie's always been a guy I respect the shit out of in plain English. I like the way he goes about his business. I've always been, what's up, Gunjitsu? I've always been try to be the same way as him, not necessarily emulating, but, I'm a little bit the same way. I deal with my things differently. I deal with things how I deal with them. And, I like to think he's been a similar way. I don't feel I need to take it to the internet. I don't feel I need to deal with it out in the open. I've been private like that. He really qualifies his remarks, and I can tell you guys, for the 10 or 20 people that'll pass through here since he's been on, Bobbie Maximus is one of the best guys to chat with or to follow and pay attention to, because he really he's seen a lot of it. He's a guy who's fought in the octagon. He's just been through it. Big practitioner of jiu-jitsu, striking, MMA, and just a very, very sweetheart of a guy. If he says it, it's probably true. We are giving away a Spark AR tonight, if you follow the rules below, courtesy of Kenzies Optics and Vortex. So please thank them. So hopefully, you guys get a chance to listen to Bobbie's podcast. This is just a little follow-up to Bobbie's, and just a little bit of like getting your thoughts. I'm trying to get to the root of why people hate. And we've talked about some of the obvious reasons and what fuels people to hate and what fuels people to throw shade and what fuels people to do these things. And obviously it stems from people's success or people's perceived success, or people are jealous, or people want to cast doubt. Cassie called out a couple of things, whether it's I've been through them. And thank you guys for tapping hearts and sharing. Please tap hearts and share. I really wanted to get 20 people in here before I gave this away. I think we were up to 15 at one point, but I know a lot of people are passing through, and we get some people on the YouTube. I really do understand haters, and I understand that they're not going anywhere. This isn't going to snuff out haters. This isn't going to change haters. None of these podcasts, none of this is going to stop haters. In fact, it's probably going to enrage them more. It's up to you guys out there, the 10, 20 people that are tuning in now, that will tune in later, the 100 or so people that'll download this. I think we're averaging about 100 downloads an episode now. To really understand who you tap, follow, whose stuff you like, and who you pay attention to, and what you allow into your world is going to affect you. And if you see negativity out there, and I'm not talking about mine, I could give fucking shit. If you see negativity out there, or you see hate out there, or you see people just being bullies or whatever, unfollow, report the account, unfollow, report the account. And that's it. Do whatever. Cassie, it'll always get worse. It always does. And at the end of the day, you have to accept that being in the public eye and being out there, you're going to deal with it. And someday, if I have this podcast off the ground, if you guys help me get this podcast going, you keep sharing this, you keep pushing this out there, someday, yeah, maybe I would walk away, Gunjitsu, from some of the other areas, because I feel the podcast is the only form of communication where you can't get, hated on almost in a quick knee-jerk way. That's why I love the podcast format. I'm willing to take any questions you guys have about this. I think the last topic we should kind of stem into a little bit is, Cassie touched on this, has it gone too far? Has it reached a level where it's gone too far? Because I think about young kids, and I think about young folks out there. I think of people that aren't, as well-versed. I think about all those things. And I think of, kids coming up today, and somebody touched on this, and they said you have to be perfect. And they feel they have to be perfect. They feel they can't make a mistake. That is a completely unfair pressure to be under. And it does cause a suicide rate, Cassie. It absolutely does. I've had people meme and say stuff like that to me. And I know you've seen it. I've had people say, I should put a bullet in my mouth. I should kill myself. I'm an oxygen thief. I'm whatever the fuck. I don't even know. I made that last one up. But I've heard it all. I don't know what a mother sucker is. Sounds bad. No, that gunjitsu, that's the thing. Nobody says it to people's face. Nobody. You will never meet someone who's more public than I am. I'm out there. I can't hide. I announce where I am. Yeah, it's round the clock. But it's, has it gone too far? And I think I'd argue that a lot of it has. I think people, I almost want to ask these people a question. Would you be okay if somebody didn't wake up the next day and that was what you did and you caused that? Would that make you happy? Is that the end goal that you're trying to accomplish? Is that your goal? Is that the end goal? Because think about that when you hate on somebody. Think about that when you talk shit or you feel you need a cast shade or whatever. And I'm not talking about, listen, I'll be the first to tell you guys this. Whether you're Jesse Smollett or you're someone who commits a criminal act, it's criminal, you got convicted of it, judged by a jury of your peers, yes, you're gonna suffer what we call backlash. That's going to happen. I can't defend that. I can't get behind that. Okay? But I think that there's just a lot of people out there that it goes beyond questioning, it goes beyond doubt, and they feel they need to lash out or hurt or do things. I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that's right. And that's where it goes too far. And whether it's hiding behind fake accounts or it's feeling that you need to tell somebody they need to kill themselves, or it's feeling that you need to go to a level that you want to see that person inflict some kind of harm on themselves, and you will feel good if they did. That's not right. It's twofold, I think. It's a power thing in the way to get... It's all attention. To me, the attention is the bigger driver than the jealousy. I've met some of the people in our industry alone, Gunjitsu, that they take pride in being like, yeah, I'm a meme guy. You know what I've looked at one of them and said? I looked at one of them and said this. I said, oh, you're a meme guy. I said, that's cool. I said, you're a piece of shit. You know that? I said, it's people like you, okay, that you take pride in seeing somebody, or potentially seeing somebody, have a bad day. And let me tell you guys something, and maybe we'll leave it here. I will never take pride, never take pride in somebody having a bad day. I don't want to see anybody have a bad day. I don't care who they are out there, what wrong I've done to them, or they think I've done to them. If they called me tomorrow and said, hey, John, you know, this and this happened in my life, I'd be like, here's the keys to my car. Here's the key to my apartment. What do you need? You need to go get dinner? Let's go get dinner. I've always been a networker. I've always been an inclusive guy. I don't want to see anybody have a bad day. And I certainly don't want to see them have a bad day because of me. And I don't take pride in anybody having a bad day. So I will never go out there and comment, no matter how bad it is, to anyone, hoping that they see that and it hurts them or it takes them down a click, because I feel I need to be their judge and jury, and I feel they need to suffer. And I think that's where everybody needs to have a fucking reality check. Okay? Because if you take pride in that, to Bobbie's point, you're not okay. And it's over my pay grade. You need to sit down with somebody. You need to definitely get some level of an evaluation, because you're not okay. And I'm not sure it can be fixed overnight. And people have sat down with me and they've explained to me in the past, well, this person, you have to remember when they were this or that, or, they need help. I've had people say this about people that I've dealt with, Cassie. I've had people say it. And I say, look, I've had people in my lifetime, in my positions of influence, whatever, try to use me, be in positions of power, and manipulate me, and all those things in between. But I will just say this, guys. I put my head on that pillow, and I know I've never once taken a single ounce of pride in somebody having a bad day. And I will never do that. I will never do that. Ever. Agreed, Cassie. They get enjoyment out of hurting others. I don't think they get enjoyment. I don't. And I don't think it's about any one person. I don't think it's about me. I don't think it's about anybody. I think it's just a traveling gong show. It's just a traveling gong show. So that's the way I see it. I am going to sign off from here because it's going to kick me off. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes when I come back on to go enter the contest. And I'm going to give away the optic, if that's fair. So hopefully everybody kind of hears my thoughts. Let's see. I am going to be giving away a Canic at some point. And let's see. I know I'm leaving one out. My last post. So, kind of to wrap that last thought, guys, before, and I want to give away the spark, guys. So, I think that's what it boils down to. If you're taking pride in somebody having a bad day or somebody having a down day or somebody being upset, and that's what the hating is trying to what the hating is trying to cause is someone to do harm or damage or feel down or inflict some type of pain. That's what the hating is trying to cause. You don't consciously go under somebody's post. And I don't delete any comments. I leave 95% of them up. If I think it's like insanely offensive to other people that might come to the page, like it uses like one of the 7 deadly words, I might like take it down. But I want people to see it. And I've hit people up, especially if they comment on my page. And I'm not talking about like the fake meme pages. But if you take pride in somebody having a bad day, and you are a profiteer off of that, you get some jollies off of that, you need to go talk to someone. Because if you're consciously sitting down and saying, I'm going to do this, and this is going to get them, this is going to show them, I'm going to hurt them, you need to get some level of a psychological evaluation. You need to have a conversation with somebody. Okay? And again, where I draw the line, where the line's drawn, is when it starts to get to that point. Sometimes you have to just kind of let it ride. You know, it becomes like I said, Tower of Babel. Okay? And the news cycle is so fast that after a while, people stop caring. You know, I've never got on here. The only issue I've had, and everybody in here knows this, the only issue I've had personally is there's a lot of people that think they know me because of social media. They think that they know me because of social media. So what they do is, because of social media, they feel like I know him. Because they've had one phone conversation with me on the phone, I know him. You don't know me, dog. Straight up. Yeah, don't forget the thumbs up and share on YouTube. So, before I wrap a few things, guys, I'm going to give this away. More than likely, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to give this... I'll announce the winner in my story. I'm going to probably give it to a friend of mine because he's been there with me. This topic got me thinking. He's been there with me through thick and thin with a lot of stuff, and he's been a really good person for me to talk to from time to time. And I'm going to announce that winner in my story because this got me thinking. But don't worry, I have another one. I'll give another one away. I got another one right here. I got a whole box. I got a hat. I got another one. I'll give another one away. So don't worry about that. But this got me thinking. So take some time. To all you guys that do pay attention, please Do me a favor. Yeah, because it avoids, Cassie, that whole deal of picking a winner. Do me a favor. Head over to YouTube, and if you guys like this stuff, please. iTunes, I could use a few more reviews. Podbean, downloads. YouTube, take a minute to share. When you guys take a minute to share it, whether it's on Twitter or it's on YouTube, tag me. Okay? Tag me. But take a minute to share it. I appreciate it, Gunjitsu. It means a lot. I look at all that stuff. If you guys take a minute and you download all this stuff, share it, push it out there, it's super helpful. Super helpful. I hope this podcast was good. If you guys have questions, ask. I'll still answer them. But I hope this was good. And I hope you guys got something from it. And I hope you understand every time I do an episode and every time I do one of these, I'm trying to give you guys as much information as I can. And I'm trying to give you guys all the information I feel is going to get you more informed about what you follow, who you follow, what you like, what you pay attention to. And if you don't like this, you don't have to tune in. I do believe, and I'll do a topic tomorrow night on media. It was great having Bobbie Maximus on. What a guy. Awesome. Yep, we'll do one tomorrow night on marketing. I got a bunch of DMs after from companies and stuff. I don't like to disclose all the companies that kind of hit me up and ask me questions about marketing and about, what to do, what to not do. But, man, I look around the landscape and so many gun companies are just so dependent on one or two mediums, and, it's a cool topic and what you see out there. So take a minute, guys. If you go on my YouTube, share a bunch of the episodes. Share some of the stuff. Share a bunch of the past ones. And do yourself a favor, stay informed. Don't become the biggest sheep out there. Pay attention. And don't be afraid to stand up to some of this stuff, whether it's by, just saying, I'm not going to follow it, or I'm not going to pay attention to it, or it's not for me, and walk away. And walk away. So, what's up, SOMD? Be a little inquisitive, because who you hit like and follow to, who you pay attention to, is going to influence you. It's going to influence you. So, big thank you to Bobbie Maximus for coming on. Love that guy. Awesome stuff. Thank you to sharing all this stuff. And thank you to all the sponsors. Kenzies Optics, Riton Optics, of course, Taurus USA, and Crossbreed Holsters. Support the sponsors, guys. Share this in your stories. I share it in mine. And head over to YouTube. YouTube's the big one. And head over to Podbean and iTunes. And just keep on sharing. The more you share, the more I'm able to push this out there, and the more it keeps me going forward and keeps me doing them. As long as you guys keep sharing them, the more helpful it is and the more people you bring into it. I really appreciate it. They don't download automatically from Podbean, Daryl. You got to go do it. That's the biggest support you can give me. A few people have asked about, I want to address a couple housekeeping things. A couple people have asked me about donating to the show. I'm not big into donating to the show. I have a Patreon set up. I haven't really set it up the way it needs to be. But I try to give you guys this stuff free based on all this stuff. Eventually, if I did do a Patreon, it would be more to do a raffle, wink, 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 where I would give away like some premium shit. I don't know that I want to get it to that point because I don't want to get shut down either. And I think you guys know the quality of raffle that it would be. It'd be something like $5 or whatever. I will tell you guys this. When I do give away the Canic, or I give away a couple Canics, I'm telling you all right now, I want to make sure that we advertise it and we get it out there because that's going to be a big deal. I appreciate all you guys. Take some time, head over to the YouTube and do me a favor, share and comment. Go comment on a bunch of old ones. Share some old ones. Okay? When you do that stuff, it's huge. So keep it relevant. I just posted on my YouTube a best of. So do me a favor. There's a best of the week on there. Share that. The more shares, the better. The more I can push it out there, the better. The more you can get people to tune in, the better. So I appreciate it when everybody does do that. Thank you guys for all the comments. And go leave a few random comments under some if you enjoy it. Takes 5 minutes. You spend an hour with me. Takes 5 minutes to do that. So thank you to everybody. Have a great night. Don't stay up too late. Go spend some time with your families. Get off the internet. Yeah, to YouTube. Head over to YouTube, SOMD. So I'll be watching the YouTube comments, some of that stuff. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Tune in tomorrow night. We'll get into another good topic. If you have any ideas on topics, don't hesitate to send them to me, and we'll get into it. I'll talk to you guys soon.